Hey, how's it going, man? How you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing like you want to have a conversation. I think discussion is how much information how much preservation I mean, you know,
Am I calling this meeting to order? don't have my gavel. All right, everybody. I didn't look at my calendar, but we have a budget workshop at 4. So I'd like to call the budget workshop meeting to order and call on Ms. Wharton to present.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just waiting for the presentation to pull up. Okay. Okay. We'll just start with where we are so far in 2024. General fund, we are expenditures, sorry, I had to get my bearings for a second. Expenditures, we are under target for all of our expenditures so far. This is as of August. The reason being is, we switched to Workday in the middle of September, so two different systems. We don't really have a good handle on September yet, so that's why we just did it through August, but we will get that information soon, right? Sure. So like I said, all departments are under target as of August 31st. Notable spending trends, police overtime has exceeded budget. Same with environmental services. Gas and fuel continue to be under target because gas prices have been down, less than what we budgeted. Vehicle repairs are very high for fleet, fire, police, for everybody. A lot of that is because of costs of repairs. And some of those will be covered by insurance proceeds and things like that. So we are just noticing that vehicle repairs are well above target. And so we will consider that in our 2025 estimates. So right now we're under target by about $9.8 million, but some of that is timing. We don't expect that to be what we are at the end of the year. Some of it's just timing of expenditures and projects and things like that. Citywide expenditures, salary savings were above target. Like I said about gas, oil, and lubricants were below, and healthcare is at target so far. We had some unexpected expenditures with the hurricanes. We did send some people to North Carolina and upstate South Carolina to help out. We should get reimbursed for most of that, but right now we're covering that cost. So we're not exactly sure where we will be with that. And our docks, our Maritime Center docks got pretty beat up during Helene. So that will be an additional expense for us as well. Revenues were above target with all of our revenues as well. I can slow down if I'm going too fast. Just let me know. Most revenues, local option sales tax. Charleston County is above target. Berkeley County is trending under target. We were a little bit more aggressive with Berkeley County because it was performing very well last year. This year we're noticing it drop off a little bit. So we'll be conservative in 2025 when we're estimating those numbers. Enterprise funds, we are above target in all of our enterprise funds. So they're all performing well this year. Angel Oak, City Market, the golf course, Old Slave Mart, and parking. Stormwater, above target slightly for revenues and below target in expenditures. And a lot of that has to do with projects as well, just timing of projects. Tourism, municipal A-tax and state A-tax are doing well. We're noticing hospitality fees start to flatten. I know it's the last 2 months have been under target for us.
Well, we had a couple storms though, right? I mean, we probably had a few shutdowns along the way, maybe?
Yeah, so it was July. What months were they again? July and August for hospitality, which is odd for us because usually those are our higher months. So we're just paying attention to that to see if it's just might be a leveling off. We had the high after COVID. We talked about with A-tax, municipal and state A-tax, that it was just starting to level off a little bit. It could be that with hospitality as well.
Can I just ask you a real quick question
Sure.
about that? Do you measure that against year before, just month to
Mhm.
month?
We have a graph. We can.
How much was it off in July?
Do you have that number?
Well, I mean,
We can.
What?
From last year.
Said 20%.
Actuals are actually above target. It's off from what our budgeted targets are. Okay. Got it? Okay, I can go back to this if you want to look at the numbers. Okay, so we're watching hospitality to see where we are with that for the next few months, but we'll be more conservative in our estimates for 2025. So revenues are tracking above, expenditures are tracking below. Business licenses continues to track above target. They stay strong every single year. We're not noticing any kind of leveling off of business licenses at all, which is also kind of weird. Franchise fees are above target and our value of a mill is 1.8 million. 1.8. Any questions on any of that?
One quick question. On the
Sure.
business licenses, is it more business licenses or more dollars per business?
Some of it is
license?
audits as well. Sure.
I would like to just make a quick comment because I do this every year. And actually this year it's extra different. So for those of you on council that don't know, the millage adjustment that we follow is for Charleston County, but Berkeley County reassesses this year. So all of our city taxpayers got a big whopping tax increase this year. And the Post and Courier last year said it would be somewhere around $100 on a $250,000 house. It's more like $400. So just so everybody knows, until the millage gets adjusted back down, our friends in Berkeley County pay much higher property taxes than those in Charleston County. So I just want to point that out to everybody on council. When I complain about the adjustment in millage and the local option sales tax, it really is a pretty big disparity between what we pay in Berkeley County and what gets paid in Charleston County. Thank you.
We'll talk about that a few slides ahead. So where we are right now for 2025 base budget, we're estimating 271 million. It's about $9 million above 2024. And for enterprise funds for 41.6, which is less than last year, but that is only because of capital projects and both the ballpark and the parking fund, to where we had budgeted for those capital projects in the actual operating budget, but they're not there this year. So that's the only reason why there's a decrease. It's not revenues themselves, if that makes sense. So property taxes, operating millage will stay the same at 80.3. Projected growth rates, 8% for vehicles, 4% for all other real property, and the tax credit factor is 0.00088. Amount of loss credited will be $30.3 million. Berkeley County, no, and we're not projecting any growth for 2025 because of the rollback. So it does cause an issue with the assessment years being off. So we don't really do anything with Berkeley County the year that that we are supposed to roll back millage because of the reassessment. They'll get it next year when we do it for Charleston County. It's just is what it is, unfortunately. So no real growth. Tax credit factor 0.000527 and amount of loss credited would be 3.8 million. Any questions on that? Say what? So moving on, local option sales tax. We budgeted 29.4 for Charleston County. We're projecting 29.6. We will budget 30.3, like I said, and that will be, we credit all of that back to the taxpayers. And then Berkeley County 3.8. We're projecting 3.5, but we're going to budget 3.8 again for 2025. Any questions on that? Business licenses, 48.8, we budgeted in 24. We're projecting 52 million, and then we give 2% of that to the drainage fund. So the net would be $51 million. Questions? Franchise fees, cable TV is dwindling every year. So we are lowering our projections for that. The electric and gas, however, is increasing. So we're increasing that to 14.65 for 2025. Building permits, going down a little bit on that because we're also slightly under target and we're just being more conservative with those numbers as well. And then the parking fund, you can see all the different garages and lots, meters and violations, what we'll be budgeting, what we had budget, what we're projecting, and then next year, 25.4 for garages and lots, 2.2 for meters, and 2.5 for violations.
Amy, can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Did we ever measure, how much money that we might be losing from the, parking, meters between Spring Street, on King Street between Spring to Calhoun?
So, can you ask, I'm sorry, can you say that again? How
It-
much revenue we're losing?
That we
because of-
lost was because on the weekend, those meters are covered, it's not being used at all. So have we ever measured
We
that?
have not, but we could look at that.
Yeah, just to be, just for the sake of seeing what we are losing in that area.
It seems to me not very much because we rolled it back to 6 o'clock anyway, so we weren't collecting any monies after 6 on any of those meters. So it'd be de minimis.
I just wanted to know
Oh.
because,
Tourism, state accommodations, we budgeted 10.9, we're projecting 11 and budgeting 11.2. And it's just based on trends, we're being conservative with state accommodations. Same with municipal accommodations, that's the 2% collected specifically for the city of Charleston. Ordinance stipulates 1% goes to property tax relief and the other percent goes to capital projects. We're projecting 11.9. So 5.95 will go to capital projects and 5.95 will be for operations that will get transferred into the general fund. Any questions on that? Again, with our months that we would expect to be higher, they're not as high as what we would anticipate. Tourism ticket fee, projecting at 340,000 this year, so we're budgeting that for 2025. And then hospitality, we're pushing that down to 27 million, just based on what we're seeing over the last few months. Expenditures, base budget, it includes everything from department's 2024 budgets, excluding one-time expenditures and initiatives. And it includes any contract price increases for contracted services and things like that. It does not include any of the additional requests that we received from the departments. Right now, it includes 277.6 million in expenditures and transfers out for the general fund and almost 30 million for enterprise funds. And that is what it looks like by department. The largest change you'll see is in non-departmental, and that is only because of, we have not decided on pay increases at this time yet. So that will change when we look at that a little bit more. And then police and fire, it's mostly due to salary increases and some fact of life. There's some additional studies in executive, the title and inland study. HR is because of our new system. We would always budget our OPEB contribution in there, but with our new ERP system, that is in a different area, so it's not really a true decrease. Recreation is mostly due to part-time salaries because we moved to 37.5 hours and that raised everybody's pay a little bit, so that affects part-time salaries and that's what that increase is. And then the ballpark fund, like I talked about before, it's due to those capital projects. When we do put capital projects in there, there will be a revenue source that will match that. So there won't be an increase or to the budget. That is a pie graph. See police and fire. So summarize what we just talked about, we are 5.6 million. We didn't change the 6.7. 5.6 million over over budget. Right now, revenues exceed expenditures. Additional requests from the departments was $20.4 million, 19.8 in the general fund, 660 in enterprise funds. Of that, we are 1.9 is life safety mandatory that will go automatically into their budget. And then all of them are in the general fund for the life safety. We are recommending $10.8 million of that be funded based on their request and that they're everybody had very good, reasonable requests this year. So we were recommending 10.8 million. We have 1.8 million from other funding sources to cover some of that cost. Affordable housing and cost of living pay plan adjustment, we're still reviewing. So we had the HR committee the other day talking about the compensation study. We need to dig into that information a little bit more to see what we can come up with. Affordable housing, we had the Bloomberg report as well. So we're looking at that to see what we might consider the general fund contributing if we can do something like that. We did include, one of the recommendations was to take all of the staff that is currently paid for by grants and have the general fund cover that. So they would have some more grant funding to utilize. So we do have that and it is included in this budget, just so you know that. And then, like I said, the compensation study. Right now in this analysis, we have a 3% COLA included because we know that we'll do some type of increase. We're just, for now, that's a placeholder until we decide when we look at the compensation study a little bit more. Any questions on any of that? Okay. So with that, with our recommendations, general fund would be at a $20 million deficit. With the surplus in enterprise funds, we're at 8.6 million that we would need to find to fund everything that we recommended. Okay. So, like I said, that includes a 3% COLA as well. So what we'll do is we'll go through, we're gonna look at business licenses because we think we can probably increase that revenue a little bit. And then we'll just have to go through all the departments and reduce some of what we had recommended. And that's kind of where we are right now. Any questions?
Remember last year when we talked about raising the business license rate for hotels to be consistent with other jurisdictions in the state, like Myrtle Beach and things of that nature? What's the status on that? And if we were to implement that, could that be a potential
So there
part of a
was
solution?
Study that was started and it kind of, I don't know what happened to that study. So let me look into that again, but we probably wouldn't make it into this budget. It would be gravy if we implemented it next year.
$236, anything to do with you?
I've been talking about it. Nobody wants to talk to me about it.
I do.
I'd love to
I
talk
do.
about it. Hit me up. Let's talk about it.
All right,
We got a lot of opportunities there to raise
Okay.
revenue.
okay. We really need to talk about it.
Anything else? Anything else? Councilmember Parker?
Yes, thank you. Can we receive another copy? I know from what we got from ad hoc, but can we receive a copy of all the budget requests and everything that was outlined in the general fund?
That is some of what we'll go over on Thursday for ad hoc. So
Okay,
yes, you'll
all
get
of that will be delivered? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Councilmember Seekins.
I'm trying to remember back when I had my complete meltdown over parking, what we actually implemented and what we didn't. We did, I remember we implemented an
Hotels.
increase in fees to the hotels because we knew that was gonna be a pass-through. And then we kind of tabled the rest of it. So as we go through looking at the revenue side of things, I would think maybe a revisit of parking fees, which I believe, Mr. Mayor and fellow council members, we still, on the spectrum of relative charges, are on the low end of parking fees, not in just the state, but in the country. So, and I see Matt back there nodding. I love it when Matt nods when I talk about parking, because usually he's doing this. So I,
Talk about that on Thursday.
okay, but I would certainly be a fan of at least looking at that to
Okay.
bridge some of that gap.
Will we also talk about, other than just the 3% COLA, whether or not we have the ability to raise our minimum?
We like suggestions there, Parker study or his still work with that. I think figuring out what that part might be and how we could but
Mhm.
So does this take into account I mean, we're gonna have a 15% increase in Berkeley property tax revenues. Does this account for that?
It does, yeah.
Okay, so we assumed 15% increase.
So we do it by assessed values and do the
Okay.
calculation that way.
All right. Thanks.
Mhm. Anything else? Okay. Thank you.